Las Vegas, a city known for its glowing lights, endless casinos, and late-night secrets. But beneath the neon haze, a story is emerging that is darker, stranger, and more terrifying than any jackpot rumor or desert legend. A man, already infamous for his discovery of a mysterious alien organism in Panama, has just released a video claiming he found something else. Another alien entity. And this time, it's not buried in a meteorite. It's alive, it's moving, and it's here, in Las Vegas. The video begins with shaky handheld footage. The man, still recognized by many from the viral Panama meteorite videos, appears visibly shaken, his voice trembling as he records himself outside an abandoned lot just off the Las Vegas Strip. The glowing skyline looms in the background, but the camera focuses downward into a cracked opening in the ground, where something black, fluid, and pulsing shifts like liquid tar, but with intent. "Do you see this?" he whispers, breathless. "It's the same thing from Panama, but this one's bigger." The footage is grainy, almost unstable, but as he zooms in, the object becomes clearer. A slick, black mass, glistening under the faint glow of a streetlight, stretches outward. It ripples as though aware of the lens watching it. Then, in a movement far too deliberate to be coincidence, a tendril slides across the concrete edge and retracts as if tasting the air. Viewers immediately flooded the comments. "It's alive. This isn't fake. This is real. How did it follow him here?" Narration continues. Atmospheric build. The man explains in hurried, panicked sentences that he had left Panama under threats and intimidation, trying to escape the entity's shadow. But now, he claims, something followed him. He suggests that what he's found beneath Las Vegas isn't coincidence at all. It's connected. "Whatever it is," he says in the video, his breathing uneven, "it's not alone. What I found in Panama wasn't the only one. They're already here." For a moment, silence fills the audio, broken only by faint winds rushing across the desert. Then a low, almost inaudible hum begins to rise. At first, it could be mistaken for static or interference, but it grows louder, vibrating unnervingly, as though the black entity itself were producing the sound. The man stumbles backward, whispering, "It's calling something." The Las Vegas connection. Las Vegas has long been a magnet for conspiracy theories and UFO legends. Its close proximity to Area 51 and Nellis Air Force Base has fueled decades of speculation about alien technology being tested in the desert. But this is different. The man suggests in his narration that the entity he filmed in Vegas might have emerged from beneath the desert itself, lying dormant until recently. He recalls how in Panama, the meteorite seemed to have brought the organism with it. But here, in Las Vegas, there is no meteorite, no fiery crash. Instead, the entity seems to have simply appeared. He raises a chilling question. What if they've been here all along, not falling from the skies, but waiting, buried under us? Escalation in footage. The second half of the video shows him approaching the site again, but this time from a different angle. With his phone flashlight, he illuminates the cracked opening in the ground. Inside, the black mass shifts in ways that defy natural behavior. It doesn't just move, it reacts. When the light hits it, it withdraws. When his voice trembles nearby, it seems to pulse faster. At one moment, a tendril lashes outward suddenly, striking against the pavement with a wet snapping sound, causing the man to stumble back in shock. He gasps audibly, the camera shaking violently, before he whispers, It knows I'm here." What happens next has been the subject of heated online debate. For just a few seconds, the video captures a shape forming out of the mass, a vaguely humanoid outline, rising and bending as though attempting to stand. Two faint glimmers, like reflective eyes, appear in the darkness of its surface. And then, just as quickly, the figure collapses back into the shifting pool, as though unfinished. Viral shockwave. The upload immediately went viral, crossing TikTok, Reddit, and YouTube within hours. Many dismissed it as special effects. Others pointed to Kin's history with the Panama meteorite, reminding skeptics that he had been silenced once before. One comment read, "They warned him in Panama, told him to stop posting. If this is real, then they already know he's back." Another viewer wrote, "Vegas isn't random. If it's showing up there, it means something huge is about to happen." Even mainstream outlets began picking up fragments of the story, though most framed it as internet hysteria. Still, the footage spread, and with each re-upload, the theories grew darker. Theories explode, the Panama connection. Some argued this new entity was directly linked to the one found in Panama, that perhaps the black organism wasn't a TT bound to a single meteorite, but part of a larger network or hive. If true, then Kin may not have escaped anything at all. Instead, he may have unknowingly carried a beacon with him, drawing another entity to his location. The Desert Awakening. Others suggested that the deserts of Nevada were always hiding something, remnants of past crashes, buried ships, or ancient biological matter waiting to awaken. The Las Vegas entity, they speculated, could be proof that the U.S. desert has long been seeded with alien life, protected by government facilities and rumors of Area 51 to keep prying eyes away. A living probe. A chilling theory gained traction, that the entity is not a creature in the traditional sense, but a probe. A living, adaptive organism designed to scout, monitor, and even report back to something far beyond Earth. Its ability to grow, adapt, and form shapes may be less biology and more advanced bioengineering. Climactic close of Part 1. The first video ends abruptly. The man is heard breathing hard, whispering something about them watching. Then the screen cuts to black. No explanation. No outro. Just silence. Within hours of its release, the comments shifted from curiosity to dread. People began asking, "Where is he now? Did they get him again? Is he safe?" And then came the most chilling part. Kin did not post again for the rest of the night. His followers speculated wildly. Some claimed he had been taken into custody, others believed he was in hiding, and a few suggested he might have gone underground, literally, to follow the entity deeper into the desert. The unanswered question loomed large over everyone watching. If this alien organism truly exists, what does it want? And why Las Vegas? This is only the beginning of the Las Vegas footage. In the next part, we'll dive deeper into the theories, the history of strange sightings near the Strip, and the terrifying possibility that what Kin filmed isn't a camera the first time the desert has seen something like this. Stay with me, because the real horror is just beginning. When the footage of the black organism beneath Las Vegas hit the internet, millions assumed it would be debunked within hours. A hoax, a prank. Just another viral stunt in a city built on illusions. But that never happened. No convincing debunk emerged. No expert could definitively explain what the video showed. Instead, silence settled around the story. An eerie, heavy silence that made people wonder if the truth was far more dangerous than anyone realized. The fallout. In the days after the video appeared, something strange began to happen across social media. Clips were deleted. Entire accounts reposting the footage vanished. Links were scrubbed. Yet, each time it was taken down, dozens more would resurface. It became a digital wildfire, impossible to contain. Kin, however, did not reappear. His followers began combing through every frame of his last recording, searching for clues about his location. Some noticed faint sounds in the background, distant traffic, maybe the faint chime of a casino slot machine. Others swore they heard voices, distorted and overlapping, hidden within the low hum emitted by the entity. One sound engineer uploaded an analysis claiming the hum carried a pattern, a sequence of frequencies not random at all but structured, repeating, like a message encoded in vibrations. If true, then the black entity wasn't just making noise, it was transmitting. But transmitting to what? Or worse, to whom? Las Vegas Long Shadow. To understand why this terrified so many, one must remember that Las Vegas has long lived under the shadow of alien lore. From the infamous Area 51, only 80 miles northwest, to countless UFO sightings above the Nevada desert, the region has been a hotbed of conspiracy for decades. One story resurfaced almost immediately, the so-called Blue Diamond incident of the 1980s, when workers near a mine just outside Vegas allegedly stumbled upon strange biological growths underground. Others went further, suggesting the entities were not invaders at all, but ancient life forms that had always been here, lying dormant beneath the earth. What if Las Vegas's booming energy, its electrical grid, its sheer concentration of neon light and heat had awakened them? If the black substance was alive, then it may have been feeding silently off the city itself for decades, unseen by human eyes. The message theory. Perhaps the most chilling theory suggested that the organism wasn't merely alive. It was a communicator. The hum recorded in Kin's video, some argued, wasn't for humans at all. It was a signal, a beacon, calling out to something far away, perhaps even summoning more. A second video emerges. Just when the internet speculation reached a fever pitch, a new video appeared on an anonymous forum. It was only 2 minutes long and had no voiceover, no caption. It wasn't just a shifting pool anymore. It was evolving. At one point, the camera zoomed in close enough to capture the surface. Patterns emerged, geometric lines forming and dissolving in impossible symmetry, like circuitry in motion. One frame, slowed down, revealed what some swore was the shape of an eye opening and blinking, before vanishing again into the liquid chaos. The video ended abruptly, the camera tumbling sideways as though the recorder had fled in terror. The fear spreads. If Kin's first video shocked the internet, this second anonymous clip terrified it. Theories escalated. Was Kin still alive? Did he record this second video himself? Or had someone else, someone watching him, uploaded it in his place? Worse still, people began reporting strange phenomena near the area. Residents posted about unusual vibrations in the ground at night. Dogs were said to be barking uncontrollably, staring at seemingly empty cracks in alleyways. Several claimed to have seen faint, unnatural blue lights flickering beneath manhole covers downtown. The city's infamous reputation for 24/7 chaos suddenly took on a new tone. What if the city wasn't just a playground, but a trap? Escalating narration. Experts were quietly asked about the footage, but most refused to comment. Those who did gave vague, unsettling answers. One geologist suggested the mass resembled self-organizing nanostructures, a phrase that immediately fueled speculation about alien nanotechnology. A biologist, speaking off record, admitted the movements looked less like chemistry and more like nervous system responses. Meanwhile, digital analysts continued breaking down the hum recorded in the audio. Several reported that when the frequencies were converted into visual spectrograms, a repeating shape appeared. A spiral. A 3-armed spiral that matched no natural waveform they had ever seen. To some, it looked eerily like a galaxy. To others, it was a map. The silence of Kin. And through it all, Kin remained silent. His account went dark. No live streams, no updates, no cryptic texts. His followers grew desperate. Some believed he had gone into hiding, fleeing from those who had pressured him in Panama. Others feared he was dead. But the more chilling possibility was whispered in dark corners of forums. What if he didn't leave? What if the entity took him? The entity was no longer just a curiosity in Panama. It was no longer a question of government suppression or conspiracy theories. Now, the question was terrifyingly simple. If these entities are appearing in multiple places, then how many more are already here? And worse, what happens when they stop hiding? The black organism is growing, the silence around Kin is deafening, and the city of Las Vegas, always alive with lights, may now be hiding something far darker beneath its streets. In the next part, we'll uncover the chilling reports emerging from locals, the hidden history of strange sightings in the Nevada desert, and the possibility that what Kin has found is only one fragment of something much bigger and much more dangerous. Stay tuned. The nightmare isn't over yet. By the time the third week rolled around, the Las Vegas phenomenon was no longer an isolated internet rumor. It had become a story too large to ignore, a shadow spreading across both physical and digital worlds. News stations, reluctant at first, began running cautious headlines. Strange lights reported in Las Vegas desert. Viral TikTok mystery raises questions. Government denies knowledge of meteorite-linked entity. But despite their attempts to water it down, the public had already chosen a side. The story was real, the sightings undeniable, and the fear tangible. More chilling than the media coverage, however, were the personal testimonies. Ordinary people, truck drivers, casino workers, night shift employees, families living in suburban neighborhoods, began sharing eerily similar accounts. They spoke of figures glimpsed in the distance, flickering streetlights and electrical malfunctions that defied explanation. One woman described returning home late at night, only to find her dog growling furiously at the backyard fence. When she shined her flashlight, she swore she saw two glowing white eyes staring back at her from the darkness, higher than any human head should have been. By the time she blinked, the figure had vanished, but the fence bore long, deep gouges, as though something with inhuman strength had clawed its way across. Another man, a long-haul driver, recorded himself as he passed through the outskirts of Las Vegas. His dashcam captured a pale figure crossing the desert highway in just 3 strides, impossibly fast, its form flickering like static as though reality itself struggled to contain it. He uploaded the footage online, but within hours it was flagged, removed, and replaced with a message. Content violates community guidelines. The suppression felt deliberate. And that's when whispers of black vans and unmarked helicopters began to circulate. Locals swore they saw military personnel combing the desert at night, vehicles without license plates idling on empty roads, and drones buzzing low over their neighborhoods. It seemed like someone, or something, was trying desperately to contain the spread. But it was already too late, because the man at the center of it all had returned. After weeks of silence, another video appeared on his account. His face was pale, his eyes hollow, and his voice carried the edge of exhaustion. He looked like a man who hadn't slept in days. They told me not to talk. They told me this would end if I stayed quiet. But it hasn't. It's getting worse. Every night it gets closer. Every night it learns more. I've tried to move. I've tried to hide. But it follows. I know you've seen it now. You've seen the eyes. You felt it watching you. This isn't just my burden anymore. It's all of ours. He leaned closer to the camera, his voice dropping to a whisper. It's not just an entity. It's a signal, a message, a warning, and we've already answered. The video cut abruptly. That single statement ignited a storm. Analysts began to speculate. If the entities were not simply organisms, but signals, forms of communication, then humanity had already acknowledged them by recording, sharing, and interacting with them. The act of watching had become a form of invitation. In other words, we had answered a call we didn't understand. From there, reports escalated at a terrifying pace. A group of teenagers claimed they saw the entity standing at the edge of a football field during their late-night practice. It didn't move. It didn't attack. It just stood there, illuminated by the floodlights, until the lights suddenly cut out and the entire school plunged into darkness. A maintenance worker at a casino reported being locked inside a basement storage room. He swore the lights flickered to reveal a tall, shadowy figure standing in the corner, but each time the light returned, it was gone. When he finally escaped, he found deep scorch marks on the walls, as though something had burned its way into reality itself. And then came the most disturbing footage yet. A live streamer wandering the desert outskirts captured the entity up close. The video begins shaky, his camera pointed at the ground as he breathlessly describes hearing a low mechanical hum echoing across the desert floor. When he finally lifts the lens, the creature is there. Its body is massive, nearly twice the height of a man, but impossibly thin. Its limbs stretched unnaturally, its skin a shifting texture like liquid shadow. The eyes glowed faint white, but behind them seemed to pulse faint streams of light, like data flowing outward. The longer he filmed, the more distorted the video became, until his voice was nothing but static, and the screen warped with violent digital noise. The feed cut out. The video spread instantly, then vanished, taken down from every platform in less than an hour, but copies survived. People who had seen it swore the entity wasn't just being filmed, it was watching back. Frame-by-frame analysis revealed something bone-chilling. When the video distorted, hidden within the static were strange symbols, repeating geometric patterns that resembled coded messages. It wasn't random interference, it was communication. The question was no longer, what are they? The question became, what do they want? Some experts theorized the entities were scouts, sent to probe Earth and evaluate humanity's response. Others believed they were weapons, fragments of an interstellar intelligence designed to infiltrate and destabilize civilizations. A few went even further, suggesting they weren't visitors at all, but ancient inhabitants of Earth, awakening now because something, somewhere, had disturbed the balance. And in the middle of it all was him, the man who had started this chain reaction. His final message in part 3 was the most chilling yet. In a shaky handheld video, recorded from inside a dark motel room, he whispered words that would haunt everyone who heard them. They're multiplying. I've seen more. Not just one, not just two. Dozens. They're not hiding anymore. They want us to see. And when we finally do, it'll be too late. The camera jolted violently, as if something struck the door. He froze, his breath caught in his throat. Another crash followed, louder this time. And just before the video ended, a low hum filled the room, shaking the camera with static. The screen went black, and he was never heard from again. Silence followed his disappearance. No new videos, no updates, no trace. For days, his account remained frozen. His last transmission replayed endlessly by millions of viewers who refused to believe he was gone. But silence did not mean safety. Because in Las Vegas, the phenomenon only grew stronger. At first, the reports came in isolated bursts, strange shadows crossing highways, unexplainable power surges knocking out entire neighborhoods, security cameras glitching at the exact moment figures appeared. But soon, it spread beyond the city. Airline pilots reported seeing luminous shapes moving just beyond the edge of their flight paths, faster than any known craft. Farmers in nearby states claimed their livestock vanished overnight, leaving behind only scorched earth in perfect circular patterns. Even military personnel began leaking anonymous statements, warnings of engagements in the desert, skirmishes that never made the news, and orders to retrieve biological anomalies at all costs. And then came the broadcast. On an otherwise ordinary night at exactly 2:17 a.m., televisions across Nevada, and soon across the entire country, flickered. Streaming services froze, screens turned black. Then, a low hum began to vibrate through the speakers. Slowly, static dissolved into an image. The entity, but not one. Hundreds. Rows upon rows of tall, skeletal figures, their glowing eyes piercing through the static. Behind them, a vast landscape shimmered. Not desert, not earth, but something otherworldly, a terrain of fractured light and impossible geometry. And then came the sound. Not a voice, not in the human sense, but a layered resonance that vibrated through bone and marrow. Subtitles did not appear, words were not spoken, but every person who saw it understood the same terrifying truth. This was not a threat. This was an announcement. The message was simple. We are here, and we have always been here. The broadcast cut as suddenly as it began, leaving homes in stunned silence. Phones lit up, news outlets scrambled, governments denied involvement, but the footage was undeniable. The Las Vegas entity was no longer a mystery confined to grainy videos and whispers. It had declared itself, and it had revealed its scale. Panic followed. Highways out of Nevada clogged with fleeing families. Grocery stores emptied overnight. Militias formed, convinced that an invasion was imminent. In the chaos, conspiracy theorists flourished. Some claimed the entities were harvesting energy. Others insisted they were interdimensional beings feeding on fear itself. Still others whispered that the government had known all along, that Area 51 was not about keeping secrets from aliens, but about keeping humans from the truth. But the most terrifying accounts came not from experts or officials, but from ordinary people. Because the sightings had changed. No longer were the entities distant shadows in the desert or flickers on cameras. They were appearing in homes, in basements, in hallways, standing at the edge of children's bedrooms, vanishing when the lights were switched on. One family uploaded a desperate live stream at 3 a.m. The parents sat on their couch, their children crying in the background as they explained that their house had gone cold. Ice formed on the inside of the windows. Their power flickered, phones barely holding connection. And then, on camera, a tall figure appeared behind the couch. Motionless, silent, watching. The family screamed. The feed cut out. The account was deleted the next morning. By then, the story had reached global attention. From Tokyo to London, from Mexico City to Cairo, the same symbol hidden in the Las Vegas broadcast was being spotted in digital static, woven into security footage, etched into phone glitches. The entities weren't just in Las Vegas anymore. They were everywhere. And yet, through it all, people clung to one name. The man who started it. The one who had vanished after warning that they were multiplying. Whispers grew that he wasn't gone, that he had been taken, not silenced, that his footage, his words, his terror, had been part of a much larger plan. And then, weeks later, proof surfaced. A video uploaded to an anonymous account showed him, alive, but not the same. His hair was longer, his skin pale, his eyes bloodshot as though he hadn't seen sunlight in weeks. He sat in a dim, concrete room, the camera shaking in his trembling hands. His voice was hoarse. I tried to stop them. I thought if I stayed quiet, if I hid, it would end. But you can't hide. You can't run. Because they're not outside anymore. They're inside. Inside the systems. Inside the signals. Inside us. He leaned forward, his face filling the frame. His eyes darted left and right as though he feared someone, or something, was standing just off screen. They don't just watch us, they learn us. Every click, every view, every glance at the screen, it feeds them. You think you're watching them? No. They're watching you. Every second, every blink. And they've been waiting for this moment. The moment when we gave them the only thing they ever needed. His breath shook. His whisper cut through like ice. Permission. The video ended with a sharp sound. Not static, but a piercing tone that many viewers later reported hearing for hours afterward, even when their devices were off. The internet exploded. Some claimed the man had been forced to make the recording. Others believed he was already compromised, speaking as a mouthpiece for something far greater. But one thing was clear. The Las Vegas entity was no longer a local anomaly. It was a contagion, spreading through fear, through signal, through sight itself. And as the world argued, analyzed, and dismissed, more people disappeared. Entire neighborhoods reported vanishing pets, missing children, empty houses where families once lived. Search parties found nothing but scorch marks, patterns of circles carved into the earth, and in some cases, walls of static that seemed to hum when touched. By the time authorities tried to clamp down, it was already too late. The entities had revealed themselves, and humanity had failed the test. The outro of this chapter is not closure, it is a question, because the man's final words, whispered in that dim, shaking video, still echo in the minds of millions who watched it before it too, was scrubbed from the web. The meteorite was never the beginning, it was just the invitation, and we accepted. The screen cut to black. But across the world, screens began flickering again. And this time, the entities were not waiting. They were here.